are you? My name is Jeanine. I'm head of Developer Evangelism at Samsung Artik Cloud. And please hold on one moment. I just wanted to get my slides ready. And welcome to our talk, IoT Development, and what developers should know when building IoT solutions. So let's get started. I'm going to shift over to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, well, welcome. I'm really excited to be here. I'm actually based in San Francisco, and I was really looking forward to this event, IoT with the Best. I looked at some of the sessions, and they're really amazing. And so what I would like to do is talk to you about developer opportunities and what tools and resources can be used in building out innovative IoT solutions. And my email, I actually put in the chat. Feel free to email me directly. I advise a lot of startups, and I'm more than happy to provide you with some support and making sure your startup or your IoT business is successful. So our agenda, again, I'm going to talk about some of the opportunities, breaking down the sectors, some of the tools and solutions. I'm going to give you an overview of Artik Cloud, our open data exchange platform for IoT, the APIs, SDKs, some great tools we have to simplify development, as well as talk about our cloud connectors and device management. Then we're going to end it off with a nice little video on what the future holds in IoT. So more about me. I've been an engineer for goodness, almost 20 years. I graduated from Boston University. I've been an evangelist, software developer. I've taught Ruby on Rails as well as iOS development. Of course, interest in IoT apps, and excited about building my own IoT apps, actually. And I manage all evangelism for Samsung Artik Cloud, a tech mentor for Techstars, Plug and Play, and also an advisor for a couple of fintech and IoT startups. And so what I'm really passionate about is just educating the IoT community. And of course, here's just a small suite of all the devices I have. And I have about 15 IoT devices. My boss has 200 IoT devices connected to Artik Cloud. So I'm slowly kind of building up my little IoT ecosystem here. But just going back some in terms of my history, I started off, I've always been fascinated with hardware and software interactions. I started off building software for ballistic missile guidance systems for Trident missiles, built out digital signal processing systems, wiretapping kind of stuff, and then shifted over to video surveillance, IP cameras, building out solutions for that. So, even though, this started back in the late 90s, I still kind of put this into the whole IoT space. So that fascination has actually, led me to such a great position here at Samsung and evangelizing and educating developers and future IoT developers. So when you think about the Internet of Things, you think, you really need to think about any device, any context, any place, anywhere, and any business. And, with the Internet of Things, there's just a myriad of opportunities. And it's just really important to just kind of focus on the key opportunities in IoT. Do you know, in Silicon Valley, 90% of startups fail? And why is that? A majority of the reason why, and especially after mentoring many startups, is that they don't have a problem to solve. They build a product and it's really not solving a problem. Well, in the IoT space, there's just so many problems to be solved. And so I really want to provide you with the guidance and an overview of, what areas are really great to focus on. So right now, I'm just going to give you a high-level overview of Artik Cloud, and then at the end, I'm actually going to, break down in detail more about Artik Cloud. But we are an open data exchange platform for the Internet of Things. So you can connect any device, any cloud service to Artik Cloud, and create these smart interactions between these devices and services, and build out these really cool apps. And we're device agnostic, so it doesn't just have to be Samsung products. You can use Philips. I mean, there's just a wide range of devices that you can connect to Artik Cloud. So let's start off with the exciting IoT space. And, so for the past 6 years, they've attracted, I'd say, about 7.4 billion in venture investment, right? And that number has actually doubled within the past 6 years. So now, there's a huge rush and interest of people getting into the IoT space. And if you actually do a Google search, you'll find that, oh my goodness, developers are wanted to build the future of IoT. And one of the problems is that it was predicted that in 2020 there's going to be 25 billion devices connected, and I think Cisco predicted 50 billion, and then Morgan Stanley predicted 75 billion. Okay, so yes, there is a huge need for developers, and especially with the fast pace of the innovation of IoT coming about. And so this is where you play a key role and driving the IoT initiative and actually building out these IoT solutions, because developers are going to play a big part and what direction IoT goes into in terms of the focus as well. So what we have here, I'm going to focus on some of the key sectors: smart homes, digital health, smart cities, wearables, and industrial. There's also smart farming, amongst other things, but I'm just going to focus on these top 5 for now. And hold on one second. So going back to, 90% of the startups fail, here, just by looking at these sectors, you'll have a really good idea of what the focus should be and how to be successful in the IoT space. So in the smart home space, surprisingly enough, that's had the most growth and expansion. There's about 256 startups. Startup funding is over 2.5 billion. There are some big players, such as Samsung, Belkin, Philips, and AlertMe. And so when you think about the smart home space, you see the problem is, right, there are just so many different types of devices, siloed devices. We have, some of the Philips Hue lights, we have smart things. However, Artik Cloud really fits into this sector, especially since, it does allow for interoperability. So you can connect, again, as I mentioned before, any device, any cloud service to Artik Cloud, and have these devices communicate with one another. Now, we just had a Hackster contest that just finished, and we awarded Peter Ma the smart home, the ultimate IoT challenge smart home solution. So I really love his idea. He uses, so Facelock, it uses RealSense facial recognition to automatically open the deadbolt when a user is detected. So how Windows Hello logs users into the machine, Facelock opens the door and lets users into their home. So they use the RealSense camera. And so with the RealSense camera, it detects the user through facial recognition, and he also uses the Artik Cloud C# library. So when it's recognized, when the facial recognition, yes, approved, then at that point, Artik Cloud sends a message to the deadbolt to open the door. I mean, how innovative is that? It reminds me of the Ring doorbell. Back in when the ideas first came up, it only took about 2 years, I believe, to generate. After production, 2 years to generate approximately, I believe, $150 million of revenue, right? And think about how simple that solution is, right? So when you're building out these solutions, focus on simplicity, and just solving one problem. And it's just amazing how much traction you could potentially gain within a short period of time. Okay, now the world of wearables. I love this one. So apparently James Bond or Dick Tracy, started the whole wearable initiative, so it's really interesting. You see all these shows from years ago, the Jetsons and stuff, and it really does define, some of the innovations, some of the innovative cool devices that we see today. And, of course, wearables, fit into the IoT space as well, Fitbit and Jawbone, to name a few. And, for those of you interested in building out some wearable solutions, I mean, we have some amazing platforms, or you can even utilize, the existing devices and take that data and build out a really cool application. Gartner predicted that, a majority they didn't exactly say a majority. It was something like, there is a lot of money to be made in the IoT services, not just devices. So that's something to think about if you're not looking to build a device, but you're looking to build out services for that. So in wearables, there are plenty of opportunities. Now, smart cities. Now, this is an interesting one, right? It's really hard to kind of figure out what would be this really cool, innovative smart city app, but the goal of it is to create a safer community. And also, when you're building out smart city solutions, you kind of want to, think about something that's simple to deploy, but yet solves a big problem. But interestingly enough, in this sector, IoT is still in the early stages. Telensa, they make wireless smart city control apps. And one of their products is actually streetlights, the wireless smart city control application, the street light solutions. And their technology is based on an LPWA ultra narrowband radio system, which combines really cool low cost, long range, long battery life, and two-way communication for numerous devices. And they're currently at $18 million of funding. Now, at one of the hackathons we had recently back in July, when thinking about smart city solutions, okay, you have smart lights, but you also have smart parking. Think about on a consumer level what would be helpful. And you also have security surveillance kind of solutions as well. Now, remember all this Pokemon Go kind of craze, and, there were so many accidents as a result. Well, I was really impressed with one of our hackathon participants where he had two sensors connected. And so you'd have two sensors connected to you. And then within a short period of time, if you were within 2 or 3 feet of, bumping into something, whatever, you would actually get a notification on your phone while you're playing your Pokemon Go app. So technically, this is a smart city solution. And many, many people were really interested in seeing him build it out further. And they actually labeled it as a smart city solution. So I thought that was really, really creative. And so for our Hackster challenge, somebody built out a smart garbage container. Now, this is actually, pretty simple when you think of it. You have sensors attached to, a garbage container. And so they had a temperature sensor. And then, the main sensor was actually to gauge how much trash was in the container. And this was really effective, especially, saving on fuel costs for the garbage collectors and everything. So a notification, so what he did, a notification would be sent to, once the garbage container has reached capacity, a notification would be sent to Artik Cloud, right? And then Artik Cloud would then send an email saying, hey, listen, the trash is full. Why don't you send a truck over there? That is just so simple to do. He used our digital temperature sensor. He also used Artik Cloud, and as well as a Node MCU breakout board. It's really great. So you should definitely go to hackster.io, challenges Artik Cloud, and take a look at some of our great projects that they build in order to get some other ideas in terms of smart city solutions. But again, keep in mind for the sector, it's still in its infancy, and so there are opportunities. Now, industrial IoT, this is a little bit challenging because as a developer, I mean, when I first got into the IoT space, I'm like, industrial, what do you do with industrial? When I think of industrial IoT, I think about, some of the automation that Amazon has in their factories in terms of packaging, shipping, and that's just one part of industrial IoT. There's so much more. What companies are looking for now are, how can they monitor their machinery? How could they improve their processes? And how could they properly, analyze the production as well? So some companies have actually done that. Rethink Robotics, for example, they've actually gotten another round of funding of $26.6 million to expand globally. And they do provide robots that work in the industrial IoT space for, packaging and assembly line and things like that. But again, industrial IoT, though, although it's not as attractive and exciting as smart home and wearables because it was really hard to determine what the problems were, I mean, there still is great opportunities in the space, and there is a lot of money to be made in the space. So for an example, Service IoT, they have they actually won our hackathon, where they have this chatbot that monitors the machine and uses IBM style and retrieve and rank to quickly find a solution, and troubleshoot. So for example, so all the they had sensors attached to the machine, and the sensor data are gathered through a board and sent to Samsung Artik Cloud. So Artik Cloud then stores that sensor data for querying data from the chatbot, and there are rules, that trigger notification when something goes wrong. So let's say that a particular piece of machinery is really hot or something, or the temperature is too high, then Artik Cloud will send a notification. It goes through chatbot and then sends a message. And then at that point through the chatbot, he programmed it where you can actually shut down the machine through chatbot commands. So it's really, really impressive. Now, digital health, well, also referred to as telemedicine. There are many startups in this space leveraging connected sensors for this space. Matt Apparel, who builds medical wearables, they received about $50 million of funding. And it's really exciting to see some of the innovation happening in this space. They have, devices to detect, if you're diabetic, what your glucose levels are. There's also solutions where, if you're about to have a seizure, it'll do some, it's like a sensor attached to your head or something, which will actually monitor the brain waves to determine, if you're going to have a seizure. And, there's already a lot of great devices out there. And so, but there's a need for combining all this data into one, so you have opportunities of, building out devices for hospitals. And, the challenge with that is getting it deployed. Sometimes it's actually quicker to go to market if you build it out for the consumer. And, by doing that, that would be a lot easier. Then they could share that data with the doctors. But think about all the data you can collect, and connect in Artik Cloud. Again, we're device agnostic. You can collect and do some predictive analytics on that data to, let's say, minimize the number of times, someone is sent to the hospital. It's like, what are the patterns seen before? You can put together your Fitbit, your Withings scale, your Withings blood pressure monitor, take all that data and do some analytics, and also share with the doctor as well. So again, services would be a really great opportunity in the digital health space. And so here's one of our Hackster winners. They actually built out a wearable, right? And so there's a temperature sensor, so it'll detect what, somebody's temperature is. And at that point, if the temperature, goes above 100, then a notification will be sent to, let's say, the parent or the doctor, explaining what the current temperature is, and it'll track it throughout. And it uses an Arduino board. And again, a very simple solution, and but it solves a big problem. So for developer, now let's get to developer tools and resources. So going back to, talking about, how IoT is a complex problem. It really is, but developer tools and resources really simplify it. I mean, think about back in the days, back in the 90s, when Stack Overflow didn't exist and you didn't have GitHub and what was open source. You kind of had to build everything from scratch, and it was really, really frustrating. But with all the tools and resources available now, it is so easy with all the APIs out there, SDKs. I mean, it's just incredible what you want to do. Look at the Service IoT application, for example. They were able to use some open source code for their chatbot. And, and then they used our APIs, to, connect all that data, the sensor data, to Artik Cloud. And it was that easy, right? It's just incredible, like how you can get to market within a short period of time, as opposed to years ago, it would take like 2-3 years of development efforts. So again, that, but for the devices, considering the extensive number of devices that are continuously, going out to market, it further expands, the opportunities. But now, there's more apps out there. There's more, well, there's more services. There's more devices out there, you know, which gives you the opportunity to build out some really cool mobile apps, some analytic services, and, you know, also creating smart interactions. And so this is where Samsung Artik Cloud comes into play. Hold on one second. Okay. And so you can connect any device and any cloud service to Artik Cloud, right? And you know, as a result, building out mobile apps, building out these analytics services, and creating these smart interactions. So let's say, for example, I have my Fitbit connected to Artik Cloud, and I have my Nest thermostat connected to Artik Cloud. You know, when I get out of the gym and my heart rate's over like 90 or 95, I want to go home to a cool house, you know, and you can actually program Artik Cloud to, let's say, okay, if my heart rate is above 90, 95, you know, please lower the temperature in my house. It's that easy, right? So you're not stuck with the silos. You know, it's all open in terms of the interactions and the devices and the cloud services you want to connect. So we're API first. We're fully integrated. We have device manifests to actually define, you know, the types of data within that device. Interoperable is what I mentioned before, any devices, any cloud services. We now offer device management, which I'll get into in a little bit, and our device and cloud connectors, as well as our amazing, amazing rules engine. And for our SDKs, goodness, we have about 9 different languages. And then last week, we just released our Tizen SDK. And it's just really cool what you can do. And so we use Swagger for our API console. So you can actually see these APIs in action and test it out as well. We're building out our sample code. We have, you know, plenty of sample code out there. We have sample code for device developers, as well as, you know, for app development as well. So on a high level, you know, some of the use cases, you know, for APIs is, you know, remote monitoring, like connected experiences, what I talked about before, predictive failures, you know, so that would be a high level, and then taking it down to the individual sectors, you know, smart homes, smart cities, industrial. I mean, Artik Cloud is a really powerful platform in order for you to accomplish, you know, all those, you know, to access all those sessions. So getting back to interoperability, that's a mouthful, interoperability, okay? So when we talk about interoperability, we're not talking about, okay, if it's a Philips device, it can only communicate with another Philips device. No, we broke down those walls. You know, you can connect, you can have a Samsung device talk to a Philips device, talk to a Fitbit device. I mean, it really is that simple. So as these billions of devices get connected and as more devices get created, you know, you don't have to worry about, oh goodness, what can I connect and what can, you know, can I not connect, and how can I have them communicate? And that's really important, especially in smart cities and industrial IoT, building out those solutions, because you want to have that flexibility, you know, to allow them to have other devices, you know, connected to that cloud service in order to accomplish, you know, interoperability. And so as a result of the interoperability, the outcome, you know, automate everything, which you could, and, you know, down to, you know, the temperature home, a sensor, you know, just everything in your home. Think about that. And then going out to city, smart parking, and I'll show you a video on how like everything can be interconnected, as well as predictive analytics. You know, one thing I noticed in the IoT space is that it's really important not to forget about the data that's generated, because that data is so powerful in terms of what you can do to better the experience. And then, of course, new smart city services, not breaking it down to just particular manufacturers, but, you know, leaving it open in terms of being able to connect anything. So you can connect with many devices in many ways. We support multiple protocols. We have Artik Cloud. We can communicate to devices can communicate to Artik Cloud through MQTT and CoAP. And we also offer both REST and WebSocket APIs, which can, you know, send and receive messages on Artik Cloud. And we also have, and this is something that's really cool, because you have these new devices now that are also offering, their own clouds. For example, Fitbit has its own cloud. So it's like, oh no, I have a device. How am I going to connect it to Artik Cloud? They already have their cloud and I want to take the data from there. Well, our engineering team has built out this really cool cloud connector infrastructure, right? Which will allow you to to connect their cloud, the third-party cloud, to Artik Cloud. Now, the only requirements in terms of connecting a third-party cloud is that they must have an open API, they must be using OAuth 1 or 2, and they must have some subscription notification APIs kicked in so we can get, Artik Cloud can get notifications of any new data coming in. And some of our built-in connectors, which we already have, the Smart Things, Fitbit, Wemo, Withings, and we just have so many. And our engineering team is continuously building out new connectors to, again, simplify the whole process of interoperability for your IoT solution. So we also offer the excuse me. We also offer the opportunity to, secure every interaction. So Artik Cloud supports secure device registration for communicating securely to devices, and that's really important. So we ensure that, the device is genuine, the device owner has the device in hand, every message exchange between the device and Artik Cloud is verified, and we use TLS with mutual client server authentication, where a client key is usually protected by hardware. So enabling siloed devices to interact with each other. This is what I was talking about before, having those smart interactions, creating rules. It's like our boss refers to our rules engines as like IFTTT on steroids. And it certainly is. So we have a UI where on the user portal you can do this, and you can also do it on the developer portal programmatically. But on the user portal UI, I can demonstrate some of the features and functionality of what you can do on the developer side in terms of building out your solution. So not only monitoring events, but sending actions to devices, and also email, SMS alerts, as well as subscriptions notifications. And of course, you can get greater insight faster with our near real-time analytics. So by using, so for example, this API call aggregates, it'll return the sum, the minimum, maximum, mean, and count of message fields that are numerical. So this call generates results on messages that are at least 1 minute old. And look at how valuable that is in terms of machine learning, predictive analytics, and business intelligence. And I'll give you a demo soon of our visualization tools that we have on the user portal. And these visualization tools, of course, you can actually follow the trends, standards. You can also download this data in JSON format and CSV file format. And so this is our rules engine that I'm really, really excited about. So what you can do is that, okay, so let's say I have my motion sensor connected, and let's say I have my lights connected to Artik Cloud. So I can create a rule where, okay, if motion is detected, then turn on my lights. That's one of like many rules that you can create, in order to have these smart interactions between devices. And with our developer dashboard, it's really cool. You can actually monitor usage and health of our deployed devices. And you can also track device and app errors as well. And I'll give you a demo of that shortly in a little bit. And for our device management, I'm really excited about. We just launched it, and you can actually monitor and manage all connected devices. And this is really cool for device manufacturers. So you can monitor and manage like your whole fleet of deployed devices, both edge nodes and gateways, using Artik Cloud. So you can uniquely identify each device, monitor its connectivity status, manage properties such as firmware version and battery levels, and you can remotely execute functions on the device, which includes reboot, factory reset, firmware update, and reset error code. So we also use the LWM2M protocol to manage device properties for device types. So definitely check it out. I'll show you the features on the portal. So before I give you a demo, I just want to explain to you just the intricacies of Artik Cloud and what kind of data is actually being sent and what Artik Cloud recognizes. So Artik Cloud recognizes two types of messages. One carries data and the other carries actions. So an action actually sends a command to my device. So if you want to turn a device on and off, if you want to change the color, stuff like that. And that's really helpful, of course, for, the rules. That's where the rules come in. So for device and device types, let me get the right screen. Okay. So for device and device types, okay, it's really important to understand the difference of it. Like a device type, as a developer, you create a device type. I create a device type. I'm a developer. It's my Samsung Gear. That's a device type, which has a manifest, which I'll explain shortly. And I also have a device. So once I go on as a user, I'll want to add my device, which is my Samsung Gear, right? So just remember those differentiators when you're looking in the documentation and you're building out your solution. So our manifest file. So when you create a device type as a developer, you'll also need to create a manifest. You can use a simple manifest, build a simple manifest using our UI. So for the manifest, that will describe, the device data. And if you want a more advanced manifest, you'll want to create a Groovy script for that. So as you can see here in our UI part of the manifest, you have, the device field, which you list each of the fields for the device type. Device actions, what actions, the device is capable of receiving. And then at that point, you just publish it. Okay, so let's get to our demo. Then I'll show you the video. So here I am on the, okay, let me get to the right page here. It's not where I want to be. Developer.artik.cloud. So this is our developer portal. And I'll show you the dashboard here, the API console, and then I'm going to take you to Artik.cloud. Okay, so this is our user portal. Okay, so let me just make sure. I want to go to my Artik Cloud for my users. So this is Jeanine as a user. So here I have my devices. I think I have everything connected. I have my Alexa, my Fitbit, which required authentication because of the cloud connector, right? So we need to, there's an authorize button that would just link me to Fitbit in order to access that. I have my withing scale, I have my SmartThings outlet, I have my weather map, I created some rules with that. I just want to try it out. And my Twitter account, right? You kind of want to use that if you're building out, if you want to have a device and then kind of build it where, oh, okay, if on your Fitbit, you don't go, if you don't walk 1,000 steps, I'm going to embarrass you and send a tweet or something. I just wanted to try it out and see. So these are my devices and these are my rules. So here's my Fitbit rule. And again, it gives you this really cool user interface. Now, again, this is on the user portal side where, okay, if that's what I did. If my Fitbit step is more than 1,000, I'm going to send myself an email saying, okay, good. I did something good there. And my Twitter rule, if I'm not doing good, then I'm going to embarrass you and actually tweet it out. And my withing scale to lose weight, you can set the parameters. If I gain weight, then, that certainly is a problem. So create a rule. Again, you schedule a time for it to run, choose device activity to monitor, send actions to your devices, and describe your rules. Oh, wait, I can see I'm running out of time soon. So let me just go to the developer dashboard. We have here, and definitely check out our tutorials under documentation. And I'll take you that too. And again, I'm available for any one-on-one sessions after. I noticed some questions and I'll definitely respond. Send me your emails, I'll respond to them, and I'll be online all day today. So our applications, you'll need to create an application if you're going to use some of our, the sample code, especially if you want to try it out. This will generate like a client ID for you and a secret ID. And for our generate applications, this is where I was talking about creating a device type, right? So you enter the device name, you create the device type, then it will prompt you to actually build out, that manifest file, which I actually showed you there. Now, if we go to our API dashboard, okay, I live by the API dashboard, API console. Okay, API consoles. This is where you can see our APIs in action. Okay, and we are soon going to be adding our device management API, so you can actually see those in action as well. And let me show you some other tools before my time's up. Our tools, SDKs, tutorials, they're all here. Our native SDKs, our 9 languages, or device simulator. This is how you can download our device simulator. It's really cool. You can kind of simulate sending messages to Artik Cloud on behalf of devices. So that's really helpful. As well as our tutorials. Our team just built out some really cool tutorials utilizing our SDKs. Although we do have 9 SDKs right now, we have about 4 SDK starters, some applications. And some of the key apps I'd recommend are your first Android app and your first IoT device. And the IoT device is helpful for, if you want to be a device maker. Okay, so let me just get back to my slides real quick before my time is up. My goodness. So a few things. Feel free to go to developer.artik.cloud and sign up for our newsletter. Please send me an email. I would love to help, even if whether it's technical support you need, or if you need any ideas in terms of, building out an app, or if you built out an app and you have questions, even down to investors and whatnot, I'm more than happy to help. And I definitely will have some webinars. And if you would like to be part of our webinars, please send me an email if you want to demonstrate your solution, if you really need some help in promoting your apps using Artik Cloud or devices. I'm more than happy to help you there. And also, let me just show you one more thing I just wanted to go through our device management real quick. Show you our device management platform, which I currently don't have access to right now. Oh, there we go. Okay, our device management. So this is our new device management tool. So this would be really helpful if you're a device maker, okay? So here, if we go to under our device types, so I've created my device type. I have a Vortex alarm system. I have my manifest file, and I also have the device info, as well as device management. So for device management, this is where it shows, device management, it'll show me the server properties, device properties, and they're currently default. And then for the server properties, I have description, descriptive location. So if you take a look at the tasks, you can see right here, like update the value of time zone to American Los Angeles. So updating the time zone, updating the descriptive location, look right here, perform device reboot, and perform factory reset. So it's just really, really amazing what you can do. And we're really excited about our device management. Stay tuned for our device management webinar using our Artik modules we have as well. And again, please email me if you have any questions. Thank you so much for attending, and I'm really excited about your IoT solution, and feel free to share any, feel free to share your ideas. You want to brainstorm, I'm more than happy to help. Well, thanks so much.